Chris, we're now asking 100 times more for this domain name than what we previously told you. Hey, Chris Zuiker with Media Options, help companies acquire the raw version of the brand. Brooklyn's the best domains on the planet. Check that out over at MediaOps.com. Check out ChrisZuiker.com. Check out DNX.com. Check my YouTube channels. Check out my podcast. Although I haven't done a podcast in a little while, but a lot of good information out there on domain names and valuing and pricing and selling and tips and tricks and all that good stuff. Anyways, quick story today is about a domain name that we're trying to acquire. Actually, it was kind of working on both sides of this one. So a while back, we had a domain name, and it was with someone kind of presented it to us with a certain price tag that they were willing to sell it for, along with like certain domains in their portfolio. And at the time, like there wasn't, like we didn't really have a buyer for it. But fast forward a couple of years, and a buyer came along and said, "Hey, we're interested in this domain name." And so we had this pricing expectation for this domain name. And, based on this conversation, I'm not sure it was a couple of years or 1 year or a couple of months. I don't have to go back and look at that, but it was a little bit of time. Okay, it was time passed. It wasn't like right away. Okay, so time passed, and but we had like a general feel for as far as like where their mind was at before. Okay, and it made sense. It made sense based on the domain name. And if you know how I value domain names, it's the three pillars: it's raw equity, brand equity, and perceived equity. Okay. And you mirror that up with timing and all this other good stuff, and that's kind of how you look at the value as far as how you should price the domain name. And there's value. Okay, I won't go down the rabbit hole today. That'll be a different day. Let me just finish this story, okay? So anyways, reached back out and said, "Hey, Kit, great, we got a buyer. You were at this level before. We can get, this person came to us looking for this domain name. Kind of here's where they're at. What do you think? Based on your past expectations, it seems like it'd be a great fit for you. We can knock this out pretty quick." And he came back with, "Well, let me think about it." Originally, like the price was about maybe 50 times X. Okay, 50X, what this price was. So anyways, I went back. My client came back. The client. It was this weird. Like we didn't have a contract with him, but and like the other side is like it was just a weird situation. Okay, he had a contract with the buyer actually in this case. Anyways, we came back with this offer. And then it was like, no, we want even more for this domain name, right? With this interesting kind of way to acquire this. And by the way, we're seeing a lot more lease options in the marketplace. Okay, lease options, the ability to put a little bit of money down, limit your risk with the payment, and then there's a buy it now price at the end of that, at the end of some kind of time frame. Okay, so whether it be 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. Haven't seen many of them go to 60 months, but some owners, that's okay. Like they can lock in a payment and get a payment for the domain name and get consistent income coming in. Like they're open to that. Now, why am I telling this story? Okay, I'm telling this story for a couple of reasons. Like when I had this conversation with the owner, I was like, I'm not sure if it was this owner or a different owner, but it was like this thought that I've had this conversation I had like 3 or 4 times last week. Like asset prices, like they're just all over the place. Like where do you price things, right? I said the ultimate asset pricing. You look at like cars, automobiles. You have the dealerships adding $3,000, $10,000 to the price of their cars. Okay, and then they're adding $1,500 to get like 3 years worth of OnStar, and you're like, but I don't want OnStar. Well, it's too bad. It's in the thing. You got to take it, right? And you're like, it's just this profit. It's a profit center for them, right? So all these add-ons that they have under the car. Okay, so like this thought of like asset, like no one knows how to price their assets. A house in an area near us is literally they're asking like 2 times, like double the price from what they bought it for 4 years ago. Now double the price, okay? So go from like $500,000 to $1 million. You're like, what? You kidding me? Now here's the crazy thing, okay, is that the other house in this neighborhood literally sold for about that level, okay? But they have it on the price, the market now, and it's not selling. Okay, it's not selling. So there's this thought of like timing, like how timing is so important to getting a sale done. Okay, this other deal was when the height of the scarcity of real estate, and there just wasn't much in the market. There was like this, like we all lived through it. Like you know what I'm talking about. Like this was like a weird time, right? But like, how do you price these assets, right? Price discovery. Do people even know? Like everything is just so weird today. But here's what I do know is that there's going to be winners and there's going to be losers. There's going to be people who are going to step back and say, man, I wish I would have sold, right? Or wow, I really should have bought, okay? I think it's gonna be on the sold side more than the bought side because I think great deals are gonna happen because just, with the storm clouds on the horizon. That's for another day. But yeah, how many are going to say, wow, really, we missed that one. We missed that one, right? Because you're asking so much. You're really trying to push it to such an extent that you miss out. And, the interesting thing, and I say this quite a bit to, I guess, people, my family, my children, my wife, I don't know, people I talk to, but, and now you just forgot what I was going to say because I went down that road. Yeah, other than like it's an asset, like you have this asset, like what is it really like? Can you really be honest with what is this asset really worth for you? Do you even know? Do you even know what this asset is really worth? Have you done the math, right? You're like, wow, this thing, you don't understand this domain name, it's the best domain name in the whole world. It's worth, $1 million. And you're like, dude, like you, maybe to somebody else potentially, but for you, this domain name is worth maybe $10 a year, right? It's the cost of renewal, right? Like you're going to do absolutely zero with this domain. Maybe put on parking, you're making $4, $10, $20 a month. That's the value to you because you don't have the ability to leverage this and to do anything with it, right? It's this thought of leveraging this asset. And so when someone comes along and they offer you a good price and yet you say, hey, but I see all this potential. It's like, yeah, that's great, but like you can't maximize that, all right? This offer that comes along could be your best offer. Anyways, that's it. Like price discovery, I don't know. We're in a weird spot. It's going to be, I think, continue to be a weird spot for a while. There's going to be winners. There's going to be losers. Which one you're going to be is the question, right? Which one you're going to be is the question. If you found any value in this, share it up.